Well, hello there, everybody. I think I've begged off enough time. It's time to get back to answering the questions. Now, parts of this video that you're about to watch were made earlier than some of the others, so in the next clip you're going to notice that I've magically regained a full head of hair. That is the wonder of video editing and recording things at different times. So we'll see who's paying attention to that. YouTube user WV Farmer Boy asks, when do you think the Reliant Wagon will have its turn to be repaired? To be perfectly honest, I don't know. I'd like to think that in the coming months, particularly over the summer of 2011, that we might be able to get it back here in town and get it into the garage for its turn to at least have its engine examined and see what's wrong with it. I believe that the head gasket is out of it because it loses compression when it warms up, and it's definitely boiling the coolant. I hope it's not anything more serious than that, because I'm not sure how dedicated I am to, say, having the head machined or trying to find a new one or anything like that, because I hear that having a head machined is a pretty expensive proposition. But all of this is a question of money, and frankly, I've already spent a frightful amount of money on the garage project, and, I just have to kind of go in the corner and recover from that for a while. YouTube user putergk, I'm assuming the GK is an abbreviation for geek, I'm sorry if I got that wrong, asks, do I work in IT? What is it you do in IT? Or do you just have your own computer business? Any IT certifications? Yes, I work in IT. I do desktop rollouts, I do hardware maintenance, I decommission old hardware, I install new stuff, I do help desk stuff. Yes, I said help desk, it's a corruption of the term. I fancy myself a bit of a BOFH, do a web search if you don't know what that is and read a couple of the stories. Those are the things that I do in IT. I do have my own computer business on the side. It's never been anything hugely profitable, although if I could, I would love to support myself doing that because I really like the whole freelance consulting racket a lot better than I do the, gosh, this is your job and you work in IT, welcome to hell, the whole kind of racket there. And I'm joking when I say that. I really don't hate my job. I enjoy my job enough, but it's just like any other job you could have. Sometimes it's a little bit too much. I do not have any IT certifications, never really given any thought to getting any. I'm completely self-taught. YouTube user Rafa the Gaffa 11, and again, pronunciation here, asks, what's the story in regard to the farm? Is it your family's and do you farm any? Well, the farms are all family farms, and while I do not farm personally, I have certainly been involved at times, riding along in a grain truck to go to the elevator and have the truck weighed and to dump it out. I've ridden in the combine, I can operate a tractor and do stuff like that. So, although I do not farm personally, I'm not that far removed from the farming operations, and the farms are in the family. Some of them are getting close to being centennial farms. YouTube user ClubCar98 writes in to ask, what was your first car? That was the 1984 GMC Sierra with the 6.2 diesel. Do I have any sort of degree or whatnot in computers and networking? I kind of talked about this in the general information video. No, I do not have a degree or certifications. What was the Red Rocket's future? It's hard to say. If I hadn't been harassed by the city, I might still have the Red Rocket today, and I might still be driving it on the roads because I loved that little red car. And I hope someday I'll get the wagon straightened out and fixed. Okay, the next question comes from YouTube user Main684, who asks, could I please make a video on Linux? Well, I may do something along that vein in the future. I do have some operating Linux machines, and I have been running Linux for a long time. However, I'm about the furthest thing in the world that there is from an expert on it. So I can't guarantee that I will make a really in-depth video on it. It's not my personal operating system of choice, at least not at this time. But I'll see if I can't think of something for you. YouTube user PinballDude21 asks, are you a YouTube partner? Yes, I am a YouTube partner and have been for, I think, about 2 years now, 1 or 2 years, somewhere in there. And it's not a huge amount of money that I've made, but it's certainly been nice to facilitate a few computer upgrades and things that I wanted to do. I'm really not the kind of person that ascribes a lot of importance to money as long as there's at least a little bit left, enough to feed myself and enough to satisfy my whims, I guess you could say. But yes, I am a YouTube partner. YouTube user SITelemark writes in with a couple of questions. Why could you buy the Roach Palace? Well, the story of the Roach Palace is a bit of an interesting one. There was an old man that lived there, and he became unable to live at home. He pulled his car up in the neighbor's yard one day and asked where our town is, and, that's the kind of thing that, it really reminds you of the fragility of the state of your mind and things like that. It makes you realize that having your mental integrity and your faculties intact is really, really a good thing, and that it could go away at any moment, and you might as well make the most of the time that you have. But his family had no interest in keeping the house, and so the house was put up for sale, and we wanted to control the entire side of our block, so I bought it, and, we've put the garage up there. The garage was actually kind of an accident, I guess you could say. I mean, we knew we were going to put something there, but the way that it ended up happening, the local high school construction projects class, they have a waiting list to build structures, and when we got on that waiting list, we got on there with the understanding that it would be several years before they were ready to get to us, and then a whole bunch of people in front of us canceled, and all of a sudden, here we are near the bottom of the list. We're one of their last hopes, and all of a sudden, hey, we're building a garage. And that was kind of interesting how quickly we had to get things like the concrete contractor in order and get the materials bought and things like that. It's been a very expensive adventure. So that's the story on the garage. Status update on the garage, it's physically built. We have a boiler for the in-floor heat and stuff like that. We're still shopping electricians, although I'm being very lazy, or if you prefer a fancy word, lackadaisical would certainly fit, about shopping the electricians market. So that's the status update on the garage. And of course, this next question, that ought to win some kind of an award. I think somebody else might have asked this, but it's been long enough since I made the other videos that I'm not sure. YouTube user Cody56108 asks, how's the weather down your way? Well, the weather here right now is warm at about 60 degrees Fahrenheit. It's actually 55, but what the heck, I'm rounding it up. And it's raining. It's raining to beat the band. But hey, this is Illinois. And apparently they say this in other states too, but I know we can say it here. If you don't like the weather, wait 15 minutes. The next question comes from YouTube user BBDLN847, and they ask to see a tour of all my buildings, homes, location, farms, and vehicles. Well, guess what? Nothing personal, nothing like that, but that's not the kind of video that I'm terribly interested in making. It would take a lot of time, it wouldn't be that exciting, and I think that it could be potentially setting myself up for problems. So with all due respect and things like that, I'm not going to make a video along those lines. YouTube user Corvette1658 asks about two of my vehicles, the 1988 Reliant Wagon and the 1984 GMC. Both of those vehicles are presently safely in storage, and I'm not going to be doing anything with them particularly soon. All that stuff takes money. And like I said before, money is not one of those things that I have a lot of. Don't want to have a lot of money. I'm a person of moderate means, and that's just fine with me. I make enough money to kind of satisfy my whims and my needs. I'm single, and I intend to stay that way because, I like my freedom too much. And I like the ability to spend the money that I have on the things that I want, which would probably generally have a low partner acceptance factor. So, next question from YouTube user PIZZSCN. I'm told that's how that's pronounced. I was going to pronounce it Pizzscn, but that's kind of bungling things, and that's not what I was told if my memory serves. And they say that I should do a teardown of the Kindle if I'm so daring. Well, guess what? I'm not that daring. How many books do I have on it? Well, I don't get to read as much as I'd like to, just like my channel information page says. So right now, I've only got like 2 or 3 books on it, and that's about it. There's a couple of samplers on there of books I was thinking of purchasing, and then there's 2 books on there, and if you read my channel description, you will definitely know who the author of those books is. Now, I've written some things that can double as firewood myself, and I actually experimented with the Kindle's ability to read them by converting them to plain text, and putting them on there, and the experiment worked surprisingly well. I also tried its PDF reading capability, and I put some PDFs for like semiconductor data sheets and stuff like that on there. And while it does read PDF files, it doesn't have the best implementation because it tends to render each page as a graphic as opposed to reformatting them to fit the screen. But as Amazon says, that feature is definitely an experimental one. As far as the other features go, I haven't played music on it. I don't use the text-to-speech a whole lot, but I have used the web browser, and really the web browsing works surprisingly well. It too is an experimental feature, but it seems to handle it pretty well, and it's fast enough that I wouldn't be unhappy if I was going to take it out somewhere and use it to browse the web. It is a 3G model, so I can take it out away from wireless and things like that, although there's a lot of wireless around and there's only getting to be more of it every day.